Seriously, Liam, when are you and Sophia getting engaged? Engaged? I heard Liam let out a mocking laugh, the contempt in that sound freezing me in place. Give me a break, it's just a game. That woman is filthy. If it weren't for her money, do you think I'd have stuck around? Once I've soaked up every contact and resource her companies have to offer, I'll dump her. Easy. Filthy, for the money, dump her when I'm done. Every word was an ice pick dipped in poison, stabbing straight into my heart. 2 years of sweetness, care, and lofty promises turned into the ugliest joke imaginable. Before we go on, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. I stood in the powder room, the cold marble counter biting into my palms. The face in the mirror looked ghost white. 3 minutes earlier I'd been swirling a glass of top-shelf champagne, wearing what I thought was a blissful smile, gliding through our second anniversary party while friends offered congratulations, some sincere, some laced with envy. Now I wanted to smash the crystal flute to shards. Seriously, man, when are you locking down that bombshell? I heard a male voice outside, Zach, one of Liam's so-called brothers. I'd meant to head straight back to the terrace, but the moment my name floated through the door my feet rooted themselves to the tile. Engaged? Liam snorted, contempt icing his tone. Joke's on you, it's just playtime. Come on, we all know Sophia's crazy about you. She's gorgeous and sitting on a gold mine, Zach teased. Don't get greedy. My heart warmed a fraction. I waited to hear how Liam would answer. For 2 years I'd laid my heart, and my net worth, bare in front of him. The 3 firms my father left behind were now running smoothly under Liam's oversight. Everyone said he'd hit the jackpot the day he found me. Yeah, she's loaded, Liam admitted, voice lowered yet perfectly audible, but you don't know, this chick is dirty. That single word drove an ice spike through my chest. Dirty? Meaning what? Zach sounded stunned. She looks pristine on the surface, who knows what's underneath, Liam said with a nauseating air of superiority. If it weren't for her cash, would I have lasted this long? Once I've siphoned off her company's network and resources, I'll kick her to the curb. Right now I still have to sweet-talk her a bit longer. The low chuckle of mutual understanding drifted in, followed by the clink of glasses. I leaned against the frigid wall, blood turning to sludge in my veins. My nails dug crescents into my palms, yet I felt nothing. Every sweet memory of the past 24 months now slashed me like razors. The man who'd knelt at my father's bedside, eyes red, swearing he'd care for me forever. The man who, because I'd murmured my stomach hurts, raced across half the city at 3 a.m. to fetch congee. The man who, face glowing in candlelight, whispered, Sophia, you're my entire future. All an act. I inhaled sharply and forced myself upright. In the mirror a woman with crimson-rimmed eyes met my gaze, her stare cooling by the second. Sophia, you're the biggest idiot alive. Dad warned you that you can never truly read a face, yet you dove headfirst into Liam's tender trap and thanked him for it. Dirty? For money? Fine, Liam. Since money's what you crave, watch how the dirty woman you despise grinds the thing you treasure most into dust. I pulled out my compact, dabbed away every hint of moisture, and curved my lips into a smile even brighter than before. Then I stepped out. Back on the noisy terrace Liam was already in our seats. The moment he spotted me his trademark gentle grin appeared and he rose to pull out my chair. What took so long? Feeling okay? He asked, palm brushing my forehead. 3 minutes ago that gesture would have set my heart racing. Now his hand repulsed me. I tipped my head aside, picked up a napkin to wipe my fingers, and smiled sweetly. Just touched up my makeup. Liam, Miller just called, the East Side project needs me to run over and check something urgent. Liam's smile froze. The East Side project was the plum deal he'd been dying to control, but I'd kept the core data, and final sign-off, tight in my grip under the excuse of not wanting to wear you out. He'd tested those waters more than once. Right now? The party's still going, he said, impatience flickering beneath his concern. What's so critical? Let me handle it so you can enjoy yourself. See? Couldn't wait. No need, just a few tweaks. I'll be back soon. I scooped up my clutch, patted his arm playfully. Entertain our friends, tabs already paid. Under the veil of his disappointed gaze I glided toward the exit, bidding polite farewells. At the doorway I glanced back. Liam had already rearmed himself with that easy smile, laughing with the group as if the conversation outside the restroom had been my hallucination. It wasn't. Inside my Porsche I didn't start the engine right away. I dialed a number. Leonard, it's Sophia, I said, staring out at the glittering skyline, voice steady enough to surprise myself. I need 3 things done, immediately and in total secrecy. First, full forensic audit of every account Liam's touched, especially cash flow from the last 6 months, and keep it invisible. Second, rework the asset protection plan on all property, equity, and funds under my name, tighten access, particularly anywhere Liam's listed as emergency contact. Third, get me a top private investigator. I need a detailed log of Liam's movements and every social interaction. Leonard's shock was audible, but professionalism won and he simply acknowledged each item. Call ended, I gripped the wheel until my knuckles blanched. Liam, the game just started. You dared treat me like an ATM and stomp on my heart, prepare to pay the tab. I'll teach you that Sophia's fortune isn't free. A parasite who climbed on the back of a dirty woman? I'll make you 100 times filthier than you ever imagined. Just wait. Leonard never wastes time. 3 days later I sat in his corner office atop a downtown high-rise, a slim folder on the desk before me. Sunlight poured through the picture windows, failing to thaw the chill in my chest. Vance, the initial findings are noteworthy. He adjusted his gold-rimmed spectacles, expression grave. The books appear clean on the surface, Chase is careful. I sipped my coffee, bitterness blooming on my tongue. But, Leonard flipped the folder open and tapped several bland expense lines. These public relation payouts exceed industry norms, and the payee is a newly registered shell. Trace deeper and the money ends in a personal account. He slid a printout toward me. Here's part of that account statement. My gaze locked on a familiar name, Brielle. A woman I'd never even bothered to notice, Liam's so-called childhood friend, the one he waved off as basically a sister. For half a year the shell had wired hefty sums to Brielle, tagged design fee or consulting fee. Absurd, she's only a small-time curator at a Riverdale art gallery. What design could she possibly consult on? There's more. Leonard passed over several photos. The detective shot these over the past week. In one, Liam and Brielle share a shadowed cafe booth, his hand covering hers. In another, taken the previous night, they enter a luxury apartment less than 30 minutes apart. A fist of ice clenched my heart. So it wasn't just the money, he already had the next woman lined up. Sophia had been played for a fool by 2 people at once. That apartment, I forced myself to ask, voice trembling, who owns it? Deeded to Brielle, but the down payment originated from a holding company linked to Chase. Leonard's eyes held a pointed gleam. 3 months ago he transferred an identical amount from the joint project account you two manage, citing urgent capital needs. I closed my eyes, my fingertips were ice. 3 months ago Liam had sworn he was killing himself working for our little future family. Turns out he'd been busy using my money to build a love nest for him and some other woman. Is all the evidence locked down? When I opened my eyes again, only cold resolve remained. Everything, Leonard said, snapping the folder shut. Bank flows, photos, deed copies, crystal clear. Vance, what's your next? Keep digging. I stood and moved to the window, looking down at the river of traffic far below. Audit every project he's touched, every dollar he can reach. I want to know exactly how much blood he sucked out of me. Understood. But a dragnet that size could spook him. Then disguise it as the routine annual review and muddy the water. I turned, gaze razored. Leonard, I'm not asking you to make him behave. I want him to cough up every cent, plus interest, and I want his name turned to ash. Leonard nodded. I'll handle it. I left the firm and drove to the old mansion my father had left me. In the study where he'd been happiest, floor-to-ceiling bookcases still breathed the faint scent of camphor and yellowed paper. As a kid I'd curl up in his wide armchair and watch him work. He'd pat my head and say, Sophia, business is character. Act in good faith, but if someone cheats you, don't swallow it. Strike like thunder, that's the true heart of mercy. I hadn't understood then. I do now. From the bottom desk drawer I pulled an old craft envelope holding my father's earliest startup notes and a few critical equity documents. One file concerned an obscure little company that owned a core patent. Before he died Dad had quietly transferred it to me. Liam had no idea it existed. It might be the hidden pawn that checks the king. My phone buzzed. Liam lit the screen. I stared at the name for a full 10 seconds before I answered, voice switching to flawless tenderness. Sophia, where are you? What do you feel like eating tonight? I reserved your favorite Japan's place. His tone was as caring as ever. Outside the window's dusk was thickening. I curved my lips, eyes frosting over. Perfect. I've got great news about the company's future. Let's talk over dinner. Soft, excited, I hung up and drew a slow breath. Liam, the stage is set. Let's see who delivers the more convincing performance. You want a fight to the death? I'm all in. The tatami room was as private as always, bamboo blinds sealing out the city. Liam was already there, wearing the pricey shirt I'd bought him, smile flawless. He pulled out my chair with the fluid habit of 1,000 rehearsals. The courtesy that once fluttered my heart now only sickened me. "So what's the mystery good news?" he asked, pouring sake, curiosity and fondness dialed to the perfect notch. I lifted the cup but only watched the clear liquor swirl. "Remember the little tech startup Dad left me, Nextcore?" His pupils flared a millimeter before he banked them. "Of course. Sad story, too small, too fringe, going nowhere. Why bring it up?" Keep acting, I thought, and beamed like a jackpot winner. Because nowhere just hit somewhere. They own a core tech patent that slots perfectly into the Eastside Smart Community build. If we fold it in, the project's valuation doubles, minimum. I clocked every twitch. His chopsticks paused midair. The flicker of shock and hunger was brief, but I caught it. Eastside was the carcass he most wanted to devour whole, and I was dongaying the seasoning. Seriously? He set the sticks down, leaning in. You never mentioned it. Is the patent rock solid? I only spotted it while housekeeping our assets. Paperwork's immaculate, professionals already validated it, bulletproof. I dropped my voice. And the market doesn't know yet. If we ingest Nextcore internally before anyone blinks, the upside is obscene. His breathing quickened. He knew real estate math. A killer patent equals richer valuations, cheaper financing, and politicians lining up to cut ribbons. T. S is gigantic. He caught my hand, palm hot, eyes brighter. "Sophia, brilliant catch. We need to move before sunrise." I swallowed the urge to yank free and let him hold me, pouting just enough. "But there's a snag. The merger needs serious cash upfront, integration costs, patent revaluation. My liquidity's locked in short-term funds. Could you bridge us for a few weeks? The minute the financing closes, you're first in line." First test. He personally had no fortune, he'd always hunted mine. If he itched to embezzle, company coffers were his only pool. He pretended to ponder, then donned the self-sacrificing hero mask. "Leave it to me. I'll find a project account we can reroute, anything for our future." Hook buried. Thank heavens. I knew you'd solve it. I sighed relief and plated him a fat slice of toro. "It's settled, tomorrow I'll have legal draft the merger term sheet." The meal wore on, him buoyant, mind racing, me doling out wide-eyed dependence while frost crept along my veins. On the drive home he outdid himself, pumping me for every crumb about Eastside and Nextcore, salivating at the thought of patents I might still be sitting on. I played the enamored fool, leaking a hint that Dad could have salted away other underdeveloped assets I hadn't catalogued yet. By the time we reached my gate, greed had eaten straight through his common sense. He tried to kiss me. I begged off, too much sake, head spinning. Inside, I sagged against the cold door and exhaled poison. A secure text from Leonard pinged. Target just cornered the finance chief to probe large disbursement protocols. Shell accounts show micro-test wires landing in Brielle's pool. Green light? I typed back, give him the easy corridor but tag every move. I want receipts thick enough to choke a jury. I crossed to the window. Liam's car lingered at the curb. Soon he was on a call, profile loose, shoulders shaking with laughter. I didn't need audio, the silhouette told me who was on the line. I drew the curtains shut. "Enjoy your last taste of honey, Liam. Every step you take up that glittering ladder is a rung I'm nailing into your coffin lid. Soon you'll learn how the world looks when you fall from the clouds face first." The following days we both hit our marks like seasoned leads. He played the tireless CFO slaving for our tomorrow, haunting finance by daylight, drafting urgent reallocations, then coming home soaked in manufactured exhaustion to brief me on milestones, every sentence stuffed with noble corporate devotion. I played the pampered heiress drunk on trust, forwarding him superficial Nextcore memos, watching him drool, cooing, "Liam, don't overwork that beautiful brain of yours, I've total faith in you." Behind the curtain, Leonard and the investigators fed me real-time logs. Liam didn't disappoint. Exploiting the CFO's faith and the signing authority I'd once naively endorsed, he began threading cash through labyrinthine pipes. He forged contracts, falsified completion reports, duplicated vendor invoices, each dollar cascading straight to Brielle's accounts or into Hermes bags and wealth management products titled in her name. He believed the scenery was his future, I was simply building the scaffold. The photos and videos the investigator shot grew uglier by the frame. They might as well have been a glossy magazine spread on a couple in heat, fingers laced while window shopping, sharing candlelit dinners, even sucking face in the back seat of her coupe. The brand new diamond on Brielle's finger blazed so brightly it turned my stomach. It was the exact setting I'd casually admired 6 months ago, the one Liam had laughed off with, too gaudy for you. Turns out it wasn't gaudy, he just thought I didn't deserve it. What chilled me more was the investigators' discovery that Liam had already met privately with 2 minority shareholders, sounding them out about selling. He really was going to hollow Nextcore out and kick me to the curb. Every new piece of evidence floated down like an icy snowflake, layering until the last flicker of feeling I had for him was entombed in frost. That afternoon I met my best friend Stella at a quiet cafe. She's the only soul I still trust, old money pedigree and a contacts list that reaches from Riverdale to London. I needed an outsider I could count on when I finally yanked the net shut. In the corner booth, Stella listened to my sanitized recap and almost slammed her latte clear off the table. That bastard Liam. I always said his eyes wandered too far left and right. So what's the play, Soph? Want me to have someone rearrange his face first, just for fun? Stella's fuse is short and she likes the match close. I pressed her hand flat. Beating him up would be a gift. I want him stripped of the only thing he truly values. I dropped my voice and laid out the opening gambit. Her eyes widened, then sparkled, and finally she gave me a chef's kiss thumbs up. Gorgeous. Absolutely vicious. The media angle and the gossip pipeline? Mine. He'll be famous for all the wrong reasons. When we parted I felt the ground steady under my heels again. I'd just reached the parking garage when my phone vibrated. Liam. Soph, where are you? Excitement quivered under his words. The cash flow fix is locked in. Let me take you to dinner tonight, private club, quiet corner, I've already reserved. I could practically see him slicking back his hair, convinced rivers of money were about to flow his way. Sounds perfect, I chirped. I've got something to discuss too. What kind of something? Wait and see. I hung up before he could pry. I did have a topic. Leonard had just texted that the amount Liam siphoned had crossed the line into We're Orange for Life territory. And Brielle, growing impatient, was apparently whispering divorce or I walk. Time to throw another log on the fire. I called Leonard. Draft the special equity gift agreement. Make the terms so delicious he'll think the company vault already has his name on the door. Understood, Vance. I'll phrase it like a love-drunk jackpot. Also, dig up whatever Brielle's lusting after right now, some glam event she can't buy her way into, anything. Greed is the easiest lever. If they're gorging on ambition, I'll happily let them swallow a little more air before the burst. At sunset I dressed with surgeon's precision, his favorite dress, the perfume he once shipped from Paris. In the mirror my reflection glowed, but the smile I painted on was pure January ice. Showtime, darling. Liam, Brielle, ready for the gift-wrapped grenade? The club he'd chosen dripped money and discretion. A waiter glided me to the private drawing room where Liam stood by the window, voice syrupy enough to pour on pancakes. Buy anything you want, sweetness. I'm tied up now, I'll call later. He killed the call the instant he heard my heels, spinning toward me with a poster boy grin. Still, I caught the flicker of panic that he banked in a hurry. Soph, you look incredible. He reached for my waist, I sidestepped to drape my purse over the chair. Client? I asked idly, scanning the menu. Pains in my neck client. Need to keep them happy, for our future. He poured himself a brimming crystal flute of Cabernet. Right, Brielle, Limited. I smiled sweetly. So, the funding? That flipped the switch. Leaning in, he unfurled the miracle plan, cross-collateralized, dividend-optimized, tax-neutral, in looping, self-congratulatory prose, as though every cent were for Nextcore's own good. I nodded at the cadence of a metronome, wide-eyed, trusting. When he finally surfaced for air, I served my surprise. Liam, you've poured everything into us. I could never repay that. I folded the menu, voice velvet. So I decided to make a gift. His pupils dilated. What sort of gift? A block of my personal shares, transferred to you, free and clear. We're family on paper soon anyway. With equity your voice carries more weight, and you'll steer Nextcore exactly where it needs to go. Leonard's drafting it, we can sign this week. I watched the slideshow behind his eyes, shock, euphoria, naked greed, before they settled on a saintly shimmer. Soph, I don't deserve you. He seized my hand, this time I let him, his palm slick with glee. I swear I'll build you the life you've always wanted. The life he pictured clearly starred Brielle, not me. I swallowed bile, fluttered my lashes. I know you will. For the rest of dinner he fidgeted, gaze flicking to his phone, no doubt texting his client that half of Nextcore was almost theirs. He offered a ride home. I claimed a spa date with Stella and watched his taillights disappear, probably speeding toward her celebration. Outside, night breeze nipped my cheeks. My phone buzzed. Leonard, draft ready. Looks like Cupid wrote a prospectus. P.S. Brielle desperate for Asia Pacific, no ticket. The Asia Pacific Charity Gala, Riverdale's social Everest. Someone like her could only sniff the altitude from base camp. I speed dialed Stella. Get Brielle on the guest list, her name engraved. Then accidentally tip a couple of fashion bloggers. Mystery heiress Brielle rumored to appear. Who is she and which tycoon's heart has she conquered? Stella squealed. Raise the banner, then shoot it down mid-flight. Consider her +1 to infamy secured. I inhaled the city's autumn bite. Liam, Brielle, you crave the skyline? I'll float you to the top myself. Free fall from that height, though, hurts, doesn't it? Save the date, darlings. The gala is your first public execution. Liam flipped through the papers with theatrical care, making a sanctimonious show of worrying that the deal was unfair to Sophia. I swatted away every quibble with a bright, trusting smile. I believe in you completely. He reluctantly signed, the corners of his mouth twitching so hard the grin looked grotesque. Meanwhile, Brielle's Instagram lit up, a corner of her engraved invitation to the Asia Pacific Gala, captioned New Beginnings, so grateful, geotagged at Riverdale's most exclusive styling suite. Within minutes, fashion gossip bloggers were exposing the mysterious Miss R, hinting at a shadowy benefactor. All of it, of course, was Liam's choreography, my money forging her tin-plated crown. The night of the gala I slipped in quietly, a razor-cut black gown melting me into the shadows beside Stella. Brielle arrived precisely on cue, dripping borrowed diamonds, my diamonds, on the arm of a famous art critic Liam had procured. She posed and preened while flashbulbs popped. Look at the wannabe, Stella whispered. Thinks she's old money now. I swirled my champagne. Let her climb. Gravity's waiting. When the charity auction opened, a contemporary sculpture rolled onto the block. Brielle, self-declared tastemaker, raised her paddle with seraphic confidence. Bidders dropped away until the number was absurd. Your boyfriend's bleeding for her, Stella snorted. The gavel hovered. I lifted my paddle, calm as breathing. Every head swiveled. Brielle's smile cracked, she counterbid. I topped her. Back and forth, the price screaming upward, the air thick with venomous whispers. Her hand shook, she shot a frantic glance at Liam. He stood frozen, jaw clenched, and gave an almost invisible shake of his head. Sold, to Sophia. Polite applause rippled. I rose, brushed past Brielle, and murmured for her ears only, a fake is still a fake. Her face drained to chalk. Outside, a stray text pinged, don't get too cocky, Sophia. I deleted it and smiled. Interest collected, the principal remains. The next morning Liam barged into my mansion, eyes bloodshot. What the hell was last night? You knew she wanted that piece, why humiliate her? I sipped my coffee. I simply paid what art is worth. Isn't that how auctions work? Or is anything Brielle touches automatically off limits? He flinched at her name. She's a friend. You made her look foolish. Friend? I set the cup down. Your girlfriend stands here, and you storm in defending a friend? Exactly how friendly? He dodged my gaze. She has connections, maybe useful to next score. With my money? I laughed. Did I look that gullible? His cheeks went ash gray. Everything I do is for us. I lobbed my phone, photos of them kissing scattered across the marble. Explain these futures, then. He collapsed to his knees, blubbering about mistakes and Brielle's seduction. I turned away, shoulders shaking just enough. Get out. The door clicked shut, my tears dried mid-blink. Half an hour later Stella FaceTimed, cackling, World War III just erupted at Café Bell. He says she flaunted too much, she says he's a broke coward. Dog eat dog, and the fur is flying. I opened Leonard's email, spreadsheets, wire trails, shell companies, an ironclad map of every dollar Liam had siphoned and every invoice Brielle had faked. I typed back, file with white-collar crime division. Book the conference room. 9 a.m. sharp. Their paper castle is about to meet a hurricane. The next morning, camera lenses lined the ballroom like artillery. Liam sat front row, unshaven, eyes pleading. I stepped onto the dais in a black blazer, silence clapping around me. Leonard and 2 uniformed officers from the Economic Crimes Unit strode in right behind me. The moment the reporters spotted the badges, the room exploded in flash fire. Liam jerked to his feet, his face bleaching to paper white. I didn't give him a syllable of breathing room. I leaned to the mic and let every syllable ring clear and cold. Members of the press, colleagues, this emergency briefing is about an existential threat to our company. My gaze flicked to Liam, his knees buckled and he dropped back into the chair. Internal audits and a preliminary investigation reveal that senior executive Liam systematically embezzled and misappropriated company assets during his tenure. He forged contracts, inflated expenses, and siphoned off tens of millions. We have already handed the books, wire transfers, and fabricated documents to the authorities. The room detonated. Shutters slammed like machine gun fire. Vance, is the evidence solid? Does Chase have a response? Where did the money go? I raised one hand for silence. The evidence is airtight, I continued. All ledgers, bank trails, and forged papers are now with the police. I gestured to the officer beside me. This is Captain Zhang of the Economic Crimes Unit. The case is formally open. Captain Zhang stepped forward. Suspect Liam, charged with felony embezzlement. The evidence is sufficient and conclusive. We are executing an immediate arrest. The two officers moved in on the action, trembling Liam. No, no. He thrashed like a hooked fish. Sophia. I was forced into it. Brielle. That bitch made me do it. I watched his meltdown with the detachment of a woman studying a bad amateur play. Liam, I said, voice flat, everyone's equal before the law. Save your lines for the detectives. Steel cuffs snapped shut. Under strobing flashes and gasps they hauled him out, his hopeless howls echoing down the corridor. I never paused. I dropped the second bomb. Further investigation confirms that Brielle, closely associated with Chase, is an accomplice. She is suspected of money laundering. Police have launched a parallel manhunt. Another shockwave. Brielle, the it girl who had just dazzled the Asia-Pacific Gala, tagged felon in real time. The conference dissolved into chaos. I fielded the crucial questions, then exited under cover of Leonard and security. Back in my office, the phone vibrated before I sat down. Stella, voice squeaking with glee. Holy hell, Soph. I streamed the whole thing. Liam practically wet himself. Brielle's name is #1 trending, fake socialite, real crook. She's toast. I moved to the window. More vans, more drones, more gawkers. Oddly serene inside. This is just the starting gun, I told her, told myself. Tioch. Quartz will handle them. My job is to clean house and steer the ship back on course. I hung up, opened my laptop, and began the all-hands letter the staff deserved. After a quake like this, morale is oxygen. Once I thought losing Liam would cave my world in. Now I know, cut the rod out and you can sprint again. Dad, are you watching? Your daughter didn't disgrace you. Anyone who tried to stomp on us will pay in full. Liam and Brielle earned their cells. My sky is finally clear. The era of Sophia has only just begun. The news of Liam and Brielle's arrest tore through Riverdale like a Category 5 hurricane. Headlines, push alerts, Insta stories, everywhere their names, now prefixed with alleged mega embezzler and phony heiress. Brielle tried to flee, only to be intercepted at the airport. She was still in designer heels and blackout shades when officers marched her past cell phone lenses. The humiliating shots mimified within minutes. The glossy facade she'd curated for years became a punchline. Liam cracked during interrogation. Hoping for leniency, he spilled everything, how he met Brielle, how she nudged him to milk my trust, the step-by-step plan to bleed the firm, and the final gambit of seizing my shares and kicking me to the curb. His confession sealed their fate and let me see the scheme for what it always was, a long con. The case is now grinding through the courts, destiny measured in prison yards. While the criminal clock ticks, I filed civil suits and clawed back most of the loot, the condo registered in Brielle's name, the handbags, the watches, every luxury trinket bought with my company's blood. Part of the money I pumped back into operations, the rest seeded an employee hardship fund. The firm went through a bone-scraping detox. I purged execs who'd been Liam's creatures or simply asleep at the switch, and promoted hungry young talent who still believed in actually building things. For a week or two people walked on tiptoe, but the new Protoc Ols kicked in, business rebounded, and the corridors feel cleaner than they've ever been. I moved out of the glass and marble tomb that echoed with fake vows and into Dad's old brick house. Evenings I read in his study or pruned the garden. Peace is a quiet thing. Occasionally Leonard forwards gossip from the courthouse. Liam keeps petitioning for a meeting, apparently remorseful. I decline every time. Brielle still insists she was just a girlfriend who never knew, but the paper trail buries her whines. 6 months later, on a sun-splashed afternoon, Stella calls. Guess who slithered up to me at the charity auction? Surprise me. Zach, Liam's old beer pong bro. He actually asked how you were, said he'd always admired your vision, hoped you might collaborate someday. She snorts. I told him you only partner with humans who have a spine and a soul. He turned the color of guacamole. I laugh, unfazed. The herd always reforms when they smell strength. Ignore the noise. Let's keep our eyes on east side. Already done, boss lady. Since we rolled in next Gore Tech, the smart community phase is sold out and waitlisted. Half the big dogs want a slice now. After we hang up, I step into the yard. Early summer breeze lifts the scent of blossoms. Dad's pomegranate is flowering like it's showing off. I remember him saying, "Honey, money can be earned again, but once your spine cracks you stay bent." I guarded his life's work, and I kept my spine intact. The sham marriage, the betrayal, the public humiliation, they didn't break me, they forged me. I'm no longer the wide-eyed girl who handed out trust like party favors. I'm Sophia, steering my own helm. As for love? I twist the plain silver band on my ring finger, Eleanor's ring. Maybe someday I'll meet someone who measures up, maybe not. Either way, I don't need a +1 to validate the ticket. Sunlight filters through pomegranate blooms, dappling the lawn. I breathe in, light as air. My world is scrubbed clean. Bright, and mine. That is more than enough. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the story, hit like and share it with friends. Drop your thoughts below, subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time.